Welcome to another STEM story. So today we're speaking to Konstantina Kanari, and Konstantina is an advanced research engineer at the National Composites Centre, which just sounds like Konstantina is a very clever person to me.
Oh, hi everyone.
Yeah, no pressure, but I've already decided that you're a genius. Can
Oh,
can you tell me about your job, Konstantina?
yes. So, like I said, I'm an advanced research engineer at the National Composites Centre here in Bristol. So the National Composites Centre is a research and technology organization.
Mhm.
And when a company wants to create something that is a component that is stronger, smarter, more sustainable, they come to us. And my job is to see what is available at the state of the art. What engineering capabilities do we have? Because we do have some excellent capabilities at the NCC. And then use our expertise and knowledge to create a product that's almost beyond the state of the art at the moment.
Ooh.
So I help with material selection or manufacturing or testing in order to kind of fit the bill of what the customer wants.
No, you're literally inventing things.
Yes, it is. I think it sounds more exciting than it is day to day, but yes.
I mean, whatever exciting job you do, if you do it every day, it no longer feels exciting, but it sounds cool.
Yeah.
I love it. So what led you into that role?
Well, how back do you want to go?
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
I think I was always a bit of a nerdy kid. Well, not, I don't think I know. I was always a nerdy kid. So I knew pretty early on that I wanted to work in research.
Yeah.
Didn't know at the time what research meant, right? It was just like, oh, I want to, like you said, I want to discover things. I want to like make new things.
Yeah.
And that kind of led me into doing an undergrad, a postgrad, and then doing a PhD. And then I was like, when I finished my PhD, I thought, where can I actually do research and development and still continue working on new things?
Yeah.
And the National Composites Centre was kind of one of the places that I could do that. So just went for it.
Awesome. I like it. So you always wanted to be an inventor.
Yes, yeah, I was a bit of a strange kid, yes.
Yeah. Oh, I can understand that. It's interesting when you learn about the way that things come about, and there are some things in the science curriculum at school where they talk about how things were discovered. It just sounds really interesting. These people would have discovered something that nobody knew was possible. I want some of that.
Yes, exactly. Let's change the world.
Exactly, yeah. It's really motivating. And yeah, there's a lot of people that use the cool inventions that have been made. There's not that many people that are making more. Yeah. So do you have to think about like how to balance the capabilities that things have with costs and then like environmental considerations as well? There must be quite a lot of factors to consider in there.
Yes, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it is like exactly what you said. It's a bit of a balance
Mm.
because sometimes an idea could be like the best, the most suitable product ever, but
Yeah.
then it costs a lot. Or especially recently, we've had kind of this change and shift into taking environmental aspects into account because composites are so far the way we've used them, they're not really environmentally friendly.
Mm.
And it's only in the past few years that we are actually thinking, hey, this is great, but at some point we won't use it anymore. What do we do then?
Oh,
And now we do try to take that into account at the very, very beginning rather than just have an, afterthought at the very end.
yeah. And I guess there's probably because some of these things might, once you've made them, they might be around for a very, very, very long time. Do you have to do like life cycle assessments on them as well?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm kind of going down on a chemistry nerd hole here probably, but what kind of places did the materials come from? Do you have some like random stuff that you have to source, or is it pretty standard?
Um, so I think there are certain materials that there's a very specific source you can buy them from. Mostly because some of them are very, very so specific
Yeah.
that not a lot of companies can produce them worldwide.
Okay.
Although part of what we do is we do try to create like this kind of like new supply chain or enhanced supply chain
Yeah.
and try to find like alternative sources, especially like for fibers, for example,
Yeah.
so that, you know, just not have someone that has the monopoly over everything.
Yeah. Like that's how they become really expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. So that, I guess there's quite a few different things that go into that because there'll be a bit of chemistry and a bit of physics, and for some natural products, probably a bit of biology, and yeah, all sorts
Yeah.
of things that feed into that. Fantastic.
Yes. And a lot of the processes are like patented or protected. So you
Yeah.
have to add those considerations on top.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Um, so again, I'm guessing that there's all sorts of things are going to be like, we're certainly not going to be sharing any secret recipes or industry secrets or unpatented discoveries or anything like that. So fair enough. There's only so much that can be shared.
Yeah.
Like there must be some things that probably take quite a while to develop. So potentially you could be working on projects for quite a number of years.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely, yes. I've been involved in a project since I think it was 2021 when I got involved.
Yeah.
That was so. This is a project that. Sorry. So this is a project that the NCC is working on with the University of Bristol, and they are developing this new composite materials for space applications.
Ooh.
And I worked on that project from the University of Bristol side in 2021. And then when I joined the NCC, they were like, yeah, this is like still going because now we're trying, different geometries or slightly different materials. So now, work on this, keep developing that. And I know that this is going to be a project that's going to continue for quite a few years, definitely.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that must be interesting because things that need to go into space, they suddenly go through a whole new boundary of rules. Like things that are going to exist on Earth, you've got different strength considerations, you've got different longevity considerations. And as soon as you want to send it through the atmosphere, there's a
Oh my
whole
God.
different spec.
Yes, and then it's also like, oh, if it's outside, if it's the outside part of the satellite, for example, then it's like, oh, we have radiation and we have atomic oxygen. If it's inside, we do, but not that much. So it really depends. Like it goes to space, but where exactly? How do we use it? Who is around it?
Oh my goodness. That must be really interesting, but oh my goodness, the number of parameters that you have to work with in this is, I can see why it takes a long time.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it just regulation takes us ages, I think, with everything.
Yeah.
When I think companies a lot of time, they are a bit faster, like a bit faster moving. When
Yeah.
it's government gets in the middle, regulations get in the middle, it's just everyone is so much more careful, and rightly so, if I may add.
Yeah.
But it just means that it just takes longer.
Yeah. There's lots of things. This is one of the things that kind of factors into being innovative, is that if you've never done something before, you don't necessarily know what impact it might have. And there's always surprises. So it's really cool to do awesome new stuff. But I was talking to someone recently about obviously the space exploration has been going on for decades now. People have been sending things into space, and now there's a whole load of stuff up in space. We have to do something about that. And yeah, we wouldn't necessarily have thought at that time that we'd get to the point where we're starting to have space debris. And now we
Eh,
do.
Yeah, and now it's this topic that's starting to get a lot of traction with things falling literally from the sky.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes.
Why? So is that something that, like, how would you have to kind of think about what happens when they come back into the atmosphere, that, well, ideally they would not survive that experience and then they're not going to go any further.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the problems we have with a lot of composite materials is that when we started working on composite materials, like what, 20, 30 years ago, like actually started working on them,
Yeah.
it was how do we make something that survives everything, right? Like it survives, yeah, temperature, heat, fire, like I said, atomic oxygen. And then suddenly we're like, oh, we don't want to use it anymore. So now it cannot withstand all of this. And say, well, hang on a minute. Like, but that is completely the opposite of what you wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is definitely, it's a learning curve for everyone at the moment.
Yeah. So then there's got to be a really delicate balance between I want this material to take my machinery into space, but I don't want it to come back again.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
There's a very thin margin. Perfect. How do you think that you would feel about going into space yourself?
I would love to. If
Yeah.
they would have me, if anyone's listening,
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to. I think it's like a very unique experience.
Mm.
I don't really think I would fit an astronaut because I get stressed very easily.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, if they want me, I'll go.
Yeah, I think that would be where I would fail. Was it Apollo 13 when you could see them doing their preparations for going into space? And I was looking at it thinking, I wouldn't get past step one. Done.
Yep.
Get anxious getting on an aeroplane. I'm certainly not going into space. But yeah. One day it'll be commonplace and it'll just be like a weekend trip off to the moon and people won't be thinking about it so much.
Oh, I'd love to do that. If that happens in our lifetimes, absolutely sign me up. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's not like for people that go onto the International Space Station for like
Mhm.
months. I can imagine that would have been that. I mean, physically and mentally, that's really hard work. But to just have the experience of looking at the Earth from space would be amazing.
Yeah, I've read a few books now of astronauts, and they all say that it's this moment that they cannot describe to anyone else other than other astronauts because it's this, oh, we're all one. Why are we fighting? Why is everything, going wrong? It's like we are one planet.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, you can think about it, but I guess until you live it, you don't really know how it feels like.
yeah. This is difficult to kind of um write off people's kind of values and the things that are important to them and the principles that people fight for. But a lot of the time, on the face of it, there's always something more important than whatever you're fighting about.
Yeah,
A much
exactly.
better
Yes.
reason not to. I can't. We've got very deep and philosophical
Yeah.
discussion. So when you think back to when you were at school, what was your favorite subject to study?
So I've been thinking about this, and I think it was going back and forth between chemistry and biology.
Yeah.
But I think I like the biochemistry side of biology. So you know what? I'm gonna go for chemistry. I think that was the favorite one. Yeah.
It does feel like magic, doesn't it? I think you kind of go like from biology to chemistry to physics. It goes more and more in the realms of how do we even know these things exist? We can't see this happening. But
Yeah.
yeah, understanding the way that the world interacts on a level that you can't actually see it happening. It's really interesting.
Yes, and like I remember because my first degree is in chemistry, I actually like studied what I liked.
Oh,
And
perfect.
very, very good. And like I remember like exactly what you're describing, thinking about my first year, one of the first things that you learn is like orbitals.
Yeah.
And they were like, you need to use your imagination because we cannot see any of these things. We can show you, some pictures really,
Hmm.
but that's it at the moment. And it was like me trying to imagine like, oh, what does that do? And then this goes here and that goes there.
Yeah.
And it was just, yeah, it was like you said, like magic. I
Yeah.
think my favorite part was I still remember it, like one of the very first lab sessions we had.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, mix these liquids, see what happens. And then you mix all these clear liquids and you get green, blue, pink. And I was like, oh my God, like we can do this?
It feels like alchemy. What have we made here? These things weren't here a minute ago. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I do love those experiments. There was one I was watching recently where I can't remember what it is, but when you mix them together, it goes from clear to black in a second, and it looks like something from Harry Potter, but it's real.
Yes, very, very big inspiration. Yes.
Yeah, Harry Potter, original chemist. Um, so is there anything, I mean, it sounds like you've chose the things that were interesting to you since you were a child, so that's perfect. Is there anything that you think that you might do differently if you were go through that journey again?
Yes, I think I would probably just try to be a bit more open-minded
Hmm.
in a way of not open-minded necessarily. I think have a growth mindset. I guess that's the better way to put it.
Hmm.
Because I think I was kind of like I said earlier, I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I knew if I want to work in research, I have to get, a bachelor's and master's and PhD. And I think sometimes I was just so focused on like, oh, but I decided 5 years ago, I want to work on this X project.
Yeah.
And I was just so focused on it that sometimes I didn't realize that, well, actually, I don't want to work on this anymore. What I like has changed.
Yeah.
And I know that have been like a couple of times I was like, oh, actually, why did I do this? Can I change? So yeah, definitely like just be a bit more aware of what I like and how the things I like have changed over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. This so I realized for myself fairly early on that I don't like doing the same thing, like entirely the same thing for more than 1 or 2 years, which made me think initially that I was going to have to change jobs every 1 or 2 years until I realized that within the same job you can do different roles and learn different
Yeah.
things. So yeah, for me it's helpful to have a bit of variety. But yeah, it didn't quite have to be. I'm going to leave now and go work somewhere else.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, there are certain roles that, like, especially for if you have a real passion for it, you can do the same thing for a long period of time. But I think especially within what you've described, there must be a fair amount of variety in that you're discovering new things all the time. You're not going to get bored of it.
No, I do love this. I think doing a PhD, I spent 4 or 5 years on one thing. And by the end of it, I was like, I don't want to see this ever again in my life. It was just so much. And then, yeah, exactly. Like the work I have now, the job helps me. I have like 3, 4 different projects going on at the same time.
Yeah,
And I do love it because it's different. It's every day I have to think of something new. And
yeah.
I keep learning, which is like as a classic nerd, I really like learning and reading.
Yeah. Lifelong learning is well, for me it feels like the point of life.
Yeah.
Maybe not for everybody, but I feel there's always more to learn. Like if you get to the point where you feel you know everything worth knowing, how boring is life?
Yep, fully agree.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about, I think anything that you do on a PhD, you're fully sick of it by the end of that PhD experience. It must be really hard work.
It is, and I think it is quite universal of everyone just being like, yep, let's do something else, literally anything at this point.
Yeah. I mean, that's an experience I never had, but I know a lot of some of the tutors that work on the tutor team, they did their PhD whilst they were working with me, and I have PhD and master students come and stay in the house on their summer placements because there's so many places for them to do their PhDs and masters around here. And I just watch them just like the relief that they feel. There's not even a celebration when they get their PhD. It's just that, oh, thank you. Like it
Yeah,
must
I think
not be for everyone.
yeah, no, I think the relief came when you submit. After you submit, it's like, yeah, by the time you get the actual degree, it's like, oh well, it's been 6 months already.
Yeah,
So, been there, done that. Great.
yeah. It sounds like, could you tell me a little bit about what the experiences of a PhD or like master's degree feels like, that your bachelor's degree amped up, but a PhD is a whole other, it's not for
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, like you said, the master's is the bachelor's kind of like on top of it. I think for the PhD, it is quite unique in a way of because you're discovering something completely new, something that no one has ever done before, you fail a lot. And I mean a lot. So it is definitely a journey trying to not not be too hard on yourself.
Hmm.
Because just going in being aware that I'm going to fail a lot, I'm going to succeed a handful of times, it's going to be amazing. But all the other time, it will be a lot of things that are not working. No one knows why they're not working. That's my job. And yeah, so it's definitely a bit, I don't want to say soul crushing, but definitely can be, painful at times.
Exercise and resilience, definitely.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that people don't, because I guess it's a media thing. People don't tend to share many of their failures. They share the success at the end. And there only has to be one success for however many countless failures that are just part of the learning journey. They've just got a bad rap. So it can be a bit dispiriting, I guess, to have that personal experience without the awareness that everybody else is equally having that personal experience. It's not that you're failing at life, it's that you're trying really hard.
Mhm. Yeah, no, 100%. And I think I was very, very lucky because I was working with a lot of other PhD students at the same time on the same level as me. So we were all kind of had the support system around us.
Oh, perfect.
And so, yeah, so it was a lot of times we would, go out for a beer after work or something.
Yeah.
And it would be, oh, I failed this today and I failed that and I failed on that. So it
Yeah.
was like this kind of like everyone sharing. So everyone feels a bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. There's not many safe places where people feel comfortable sharing their failures, but definitely worthwhile finding one.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I mean, yeah, I still feel like I am in awe of anybody that has a PhD, and I do not want to put myself through that.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it again, but I think once was enough.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you get to be a doctor. That's awesome.
Yes. And I tell everyone, yes.
Yeah. And you would like I hear some jokes about everyone putting their doctorate on their letters and all of this. Like, but if I'd have done that much work to get it, I would put it everywhere. I'd have it tattooed on me.
Oh, yes. I have it on my address for my Amazon packages. It is not an option. I added it myself.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I'm not going to use it very often, but I can do that as well, at least.
Absolutely. Enjoy the experience of your hard work forever. Perfect. Oh, thank you very much, Konstantina. So if people were interested in learning more about what goes into your role and the National Composites Centre, where can they go and learn a bit more about it?
I think the National Composites Centre website online is a good start.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, it is www.ncc.com.
Okay,
Actually,
perfect.
let me just check that because
That's
I think
okay.
there's a UK in there.
We can add it to the show notes. Yeah, NCC with a beautiful
NCC
star.
UK, yeah, ncuk.com, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, we can add that to the show notes so people are interested in learning a bit more about it. They can have a
Yeah.
little look. And yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. It's interesting to see. I mean, you're doing all sorts of cool stuff, I'm sure that you can't even tell us about, but the stuff that you shared sounds really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm your podcast host, Georgina Green, and the founder of Green Tutors, STEM specialist tuition company. We've been supporting students with their GCSE and A-level maths, science and STEM subject studies since 2011, and our team all work and have a passion for STEM professions such as engineering and chemical synthesis and medicines and all sorts of fantastic things in the world of STEM beyond the curriculum, which is what we bring into our lessons to make them more exciting, and the reason I wanted to share this podcast with you all. Alongside that, we've launched the STEM Educators Academy, where other STEM professionals and STEM education enthusiasts can come and learn about how to grow their STEM education practices together. If you're interested in any of the support that we offer, get in touch at greentutors.uk and you can access some of the free resources on there as well.
This podcast would not exist without the sponsorship of STEMazing. I'm very grateful to STEMazing, not only for sponsoring our podcast, but for the brilliant work that they're doing, fostering inspiration and inclusion in STEM. I recommend having a look at their website, stemazing.co.uk, which is what you can see right now, to see a bit more about the work that they do. Alongside the award-winning Inspiration Academy, bringing events into primary schools and inspiring young people to see their future in STEM, because you can't be what you can't see. There's a fantastic membership, which I'm a part of, for women in STEM to do more of this, fostering inspiration and inclusion in STEM, with monthly content shared on empowerment, inspiration, and community. Will help you to be a better role model and mentor to people in STEM. And finally, there's a brilliant library here of role models in STEM that you can go and have a look at and hear more about their STEM stories. Here's a shout out for our sponsor, Navigated Tutor. If you haven't seen this, I recommend having a look if you're in education. The Navigated Tutor platform gives access to a quarterly webinar and magazine and training resources. The first one I've already read and attended, and in minutes learned lots that's going to make a massive impact on the way that I support my students. This is brought to you by Arthur Moore, who is not only a fantastic tutor but also the host of the Tea and Teaching podcast and Tutoring Tips podcast, two of my most listened podcasts. So I recommend that you go and check those out if you're working in education at all, and sign yourself up to the Navigated Tutor platform for some fantastic CPD. You can get access to this at mooreedu.thinkific.com. That's mooreedu.thinkific.com.